So, good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Simmons. I am the program manager for the communities team. And I'm here with Gelmi Espinal and Timothy Afam, who are going to be taking any questions that you might have. So please feel free to put any questions in the chat, and we will answer those once we get to the end of that. I am also going to, I think we can turn on closed captions so that if someone needs those captions, they can use those captions. And if you can't, you can make sure that either let Gelmi or Timothy know, and they can help you through that. So we do also, I want to let you know that we also do have a webinar for financial reporting that we did a few weeks ago. So if you have not finished your financial reports that need to go onto the GMS system, there is a webinar for that, and you can take a look at that. Or again, if you have any questions, you can have someone from our team help you through that. In addition to that, we also have a guidelines webinar that is on YouTube as well. So all of these things you can get and you can review if you have any questions about those. So I am going to start with a PowerPoint. Then we're going to go through the website so that you can see exactly how to do this. We'll just do a little tutorial. And then if you have any questions, we're here to answer those. So I'm just going to get started with the slideshow. We always like to start with sort of saying that Mass Cultural Council is your state agency. We know that we support the arts, humanities, and sciences. You are our eyes and ears on the ground in your communities and doing amazing, amazing work. This year, we have over 12,300 applications that came in to the Local Cultural Council program this year. So we're really excited. That's up 800 from last year. You all are doing an amazing job at doing outreach, and we are really excited to see what's going to be happening in your communities. And one of the things about the communities team is we love to travel. So please let us know when things are going on in your communities, what you've granted, come January and into the spring and into the summer. We would love to come out and see what's going on in your communities. So I am going to, right now, this is our communities team. We are full up and we have a staff of 7. And here are their lovely faces. You can find them on our website by going to massculturalcouncil.org and then clicking on communities, and then find your staff by municipality. Once you click on those municipalities, you'll find out who your local cultural council program officer is. They are here to support you, through any questions you have on guidelines, especially now as you're going through the review process and the approval and the denial process of applications. You might have some questions. They're here to help you do that. So tonight we're just going to go over a quick overview, LCC meeting protocol. Always like to just bring that back up. We're in a new grant year. I know for us, for the team also, we're like, oh, it's a new grant year. We have to remember things because we don't do them every day necessarily. So it's always good to go over those. We're going to touch on a little bit about voting meetings and guidelines and priorities. And then we'll go into the grant decisions in the GMS system. And then we'll just talk a little bit about the completion of the annual report. So I know there's a lot on this slide, and again, we're going to send this deck out to everybody too, just so that you have it. But one of the main points of this slide is really to talk about open meeting, and that your meetings about the grant cycle and anything you have to do with local cultural council business has to be an open meeting. And so those laws are established, and they are, we have links to them to find out where the legislation is around open meeting if you want to dig deeper into that. What we do know is that you can now still meet through via Zoom until 2025, which is great, because I know that was really helpful for councils, especially during COVID, obviously, because you couldn't meet in person. But even after that, it's created a opportunities that may have not existed before for members to become part of councils that may not have had the ability to come to town hall or go to a public meeting space while you're having your meeting. So I think that's a really exciting thing that is still that is still available to you. One of the things about open meeting law, I mean, I would err on the side of caution when you're thinking about whether or not your meetings are subject to the open meeting law. More than likely they will be. So those are all meetings that you're going to be having that are discussing the council business. Now, things that are not are things of like social meetings, things that you might, see somebody at a grant reception, or if you're visiting an applicant's or an approved applicant's program and you're there together and you're enjoying that. That obviously is not. But for the most part, if you are making decisions about what's happening around the council, that's going to be open meeting. Telephone meetings are not open meetings. So I would steer away from that. You can talk to each other about the process of which you're trying to get together to get to a meeting to talk about approvals, or you can't talk about the actual business of those approvals. And one of the most important things I think too is you're at that point right now where I think most of our 329 councils do have 5 members or more, but you do need to make sure that you have a quorum before you can go into your voting meetings. And that quorum is going to be reached by having 5 members. So if you have 5 members, then 3 people makes a quorum, 7 members, 4 people make a quorum. So you just need to make sure that you have that right amount of people once you go into your voting meetings. So we're going to talk a little bit more about voting meetings and voting decisions, but one of the things that, there are a number of ways where you can review your applications. And one of them is the panel book, and we'll look and see what that looks, we'll look and see where you find that on your grants, on the grants management system. Some councils like to print out the panel book, and you can use your administrative funds to do that. Some people like to review their applications online and not have to print out the panel book. It's a really a personal decision about what people want to do and how you feel is best way for you to review these applications. You should always make sure when you're doing this is that you're referring to your priorities that you've done and the Mass Cultural Council guidelines, so that you're making good decisions about how you want to make your decisions about approvals or declining applications. As I said before, you just want to make sure there's a quorum, and then this is where you're going to make the decision about whether or not your council wants to do a council program. All right. So council programs, we love it when councils are really excited about bringing something into their city or town that hasn't, been done before, or they aren't necessarily seeing in the grant proposals that are coming in. And so councils can use 20% of their allocation this year, the FY24 allocation, in order to do a council program. So you don't have to know exactly the name of it, and we'll go over a little bit about it when I go to the grants management system, but just know that that is a possibility. A really great way that we feel for you to be able to track your voting is we have a grant tracker that's on the website. It's basically an Excel form and then you can populate it with the applications that have come in, and then different columns of yes or no and decisions that you make, because there's only the best practice in inputting your approvals and denials into the system is to have one person do it. So the whole council obviously meets and makes decisions. Whoever's taking care of that grant tracker and writing down who is being approved and who is being denied is the person who should probably either input it, or one other person should do the inputting. And I'll show you what that looks like when we get to that on the system. So one of the big things too is denial letters. So when you're going through and you've made your decisions about approvals and denials for the grants, you want to make sure that you do that immediately. You want to make sure that right after that voting meeting, either that day or the next day afterwards, that you're inputting the denial letters, because what's going to happen is you are still going to have to wait that 15-day period in order for you to close out your annual report. So you want to make sure that you're doing that as soon as possible. And you don't send out the denial letters, they are sent automatically through the system. And so they will receive a notification once you do the denials. They have the opportunity within 15 days to do a request for reconsideration, which will come to our office. We will make a decision on that request for reconsideration based on our guidelines, based on your priorities and guidelines, and if they were all followed correctly, and then we will let you know what that decision is. So you want to make sure that you're doing those denial letters. So now we're just going to get to the inputting of the information into the grants decision system. It all takes place, as we know, in Smart and Simple. We're going to go over this, but again, just want to reiterate the whole 15-day period, and as you're making your decisions. The great thing is that now we are so much more automated than we were 5 years ago, 3 years ago, that you now have everything you need to get together and have your grant meeting. So you don't have to wait until the middle of November. You can actually start to organize and get your meetings on the books to do these to review these grant applications. So that's I think that's an exciting part of it. So we'll go through the tutorial, and then any questions, we can take those afterwards. So let's go to Smart Simple. So I just want to ask my team, Gelmy and Timothy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so this is basically what's going to happen when you come into your system. You're going to log in, you're going to come to your portal, and you're going to see all of these things that you normally see when you've gone in to do your guidelines and priorities. You filled out your financial report. Thank you very much. And then you have your grant decisions. These are the three pieces that make up your annual report. And your annual report is not due until January 17th. If you vote, do your denials, have your 15-day period, and have no reconsideration requests, you could feasibly close out your annual report by December 15th. So this is the deadline. The deadline day is January 17th. You don't have to wait until the 17th to do that. So what I want to do first is I want to go over the applications, and then we'll move back to the grant decisions. So this is what it's going to look like. You're going to come to your council's applications, and this is where, when I said you can figure out how you want to review them, it's entirely up to you. But this right here, panel book, will be populated, and it will be populated with the number 1. So that will be your panel book. You can do whatever you want with it. You know, read it online, print it out, however you want. But this panel book is going to give you every single submitted application that is attached to your council. Okay. It will not have the drafts. So one of the things I want to say is that you will come across applications that will be in draft form. You don't have to do anything about those. Those are drafts. Those are applications that didn't come in before the deadline. So the only thing that you're going to have to worry about right now is submitted. So basically, you're going to go into the submitted section. I'll scroll up so you have it. So you're going to hit submitted. And one of the great things, and we talked about this last year, but I think even this year more, we've added even more instruction. This really gives you a deep dive into everything you need to do on every single one of the pages in the grants management system. So if you have any questions, if you're not sure about how to find things, this screen will really, and these directions are going to really help you, get through the process of each one of the pages that you're on. And like I said, you have incredible program officers who are here to work with you and help you through this process. And so if you need to get in touch with them, please do so. So basically, you're going to come here to submit it. Hopefully you have like between 15 and 20 applications. Right now we have 2 in here, and you're going to make your decisions. Now, this is the thing. In order to make your decisions on all of your applications, whether it's 5 or 50, they all have to be done individually. Okay, so you're going to come to the submitted page. You're going to look and see right here. They're all going to be listed, and you're going to open each one of these. So in this case, I'm going to open this one. And here it is. It's giving me, there's the application. You've already made your decision, okay? So this, you're going to get to this grant decision point when you've already made the decision about whether you're going to approve it or deny it. So the council's already met. You have your grant tracking sheet. Someone's going into this system right now and saying, okay, here's the sheet. I know here's the application, and I know we're going to approve it and deny it, and I know the amount of money we're going to do. We're going to approve this application for. So by the time you get to this point in the grants decision section, you're basically opening up the application like we just did, and you're scrolling over. You don't even need to look at these because you've already done that, and you're going to click LCC review. And once you do that, it's going to pop up this screen. Now here, this particular applicant requested $4,154, and you've made the decision here to approve it. So this is what it's going to look like when you come in. It's going to say, please select. You're going to say, here's my decision. We're going to approve this. And there will be a box here that you can fill out that's going to say how much you approve it. For these purposes, we put in $50. We said, okay, we're going to approve this for $50. So then you're going to come down to this section that basically says save draft, approve, or decline. Now, one of the things that we always say in the Smart Simple and the grants management system is always save draft. So even if you don't necessarily need to, it's just always a good idea to save draft. So we're going to save this. Okay, and then we're going to approve it. So once you hit approve, you're going to get a pop-up that's going to ask you, are you sure you want to proceed with this? And you're going to say yes. So there's always these checks and balances that we go through in the system. So from there, we're going to go back to the homepage. So you've done this application. We're going to go back to the homepage, and we'll show you what happens here. Just put this up here. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to scroll up, and we're going to see now we only have one draft, which we know we're not doing anything with. We no longer have 2 submitted. We only have 1 because we've just moved that, or the computer has moved it to pending approvals. Okay. So we're going to go back into submitted, and we're going to go to that next one. So the last one that's on here, Arts in the Park. We're going to open it. And we know we've already taken a look at it. Again, we're going to go to LCC review, and we're going to make the decision that we're going to deny this. So we're going to deny this application, and it's going to ask you, what is the reason why you want to deny the application? And there's a drop-down menu that gives you all sorts of reasons why you would deny this application. So I'm going to go down to public benefit because that's usually the one that councils use when they're doing their denials, because for whatever reason, and you all have decided based on your guidelines and your priorities that this application just doesn't fit for the city or town. And so I'm going to hit save draft again, just because it's good practice. And I'm going to decline. It's going to ask me again, am I sure that I want to decline this? Yes, I do want to decline it. So again, we're going to go back up to our home page, and we're going to scroll down and see we have no submitted applications. We've done all that, and we've got 1 in pending approvals and 1 in pending declines. So the way that this works is pending approvals will not go into approvals until you submit your entire annual report. Okay, so what's going to happen is these pending approvals are just going to sit here until you're ready to close out your annual report. But you can't close out your annual report until you deal with the declines, because you need that 15-day waiting period. Okay, so we're going to click on the pending declines, and this is very, very important. To decline an application, it's 3 steps. It's 1, clicking on it. and doing the LCC review and saying denial and picking the reason for denial, getting it into the pending decline space, which we're in right now, and then actually declining it. So that 15-day period will not run until you actually, the actual letter goes to the applicant. And that does not happen until you come to this space. So here we're in pending declines. Again, tons of information it gives you to figure out how to do this. If you had, say, 5 to 7 applications that you would decline that are sitting in pending decline, the best way for you to decline them all at the same time, instead of doing it one by one, is to click on this button here. It's right up here in the light green. That will highlight all of the pending decline or applications that you want to send letters to. So once you do that, you need to hit this button here, decline applications. So I'm going to click decline applications again. Do you want to run the batch update and trigger the appropriate workflow? That appropriate workflow is declining the applicant and sending the letter to that applicant. It will get emailed through the system. Again, you do not have to send out denial letters. Those will automatically go out through the system. So I'm going to say yes. Now I have no more in my submitted. So I'm going to go over here back to my home page just to make sure. And I have 1 in pending approvals, and we know that's not going to happen until we do our annual report. And then I have 1 in declined. Okay, so then once you do that, make a note of that on your grant tracking sheet so you know the 15 days from when you did that decline. If you're getting ready to close out your annual report and you're like, okay, this is great, and you come in here and you see pending decline, it means you have not gone to the next step, which means those applicants have not received a letter. So make sure when you go in there that you're seeing that your applications that you're declining are all in this declined section. Okay. All right, great. So from here, we're going to move over to the grant decisions. So we've done all our applications. We're all done. Now we've got to go over here. We've made all those decisions, and we're going to go over to the grant decisions. And again, lots of information to help you through the process. And again, we are here to support you through all of this. So I'm going to go to my LCC, which is Test LCC, and I'm going to click it, and I'm going to click on it. So this is my portal, right? So this is the next box after you've done your financial report. So what we're asking you to do is tell us when your voting meeting is. So let's say your voting meeting is on the 27th. Did you have a quorum? You're going to say yes, because we did have a quorum. Do you want to add another voting meeting? No, I think we're good. We don't need to do that. And you're going to save the draft. The only time you're going to submit to MCC is when you get to the end. Okay, so we've done that. Now we're going to go over to the next tab, which is council program. Now this is where you make the decision as a council, because you've gone through the applications. You're thinking, oh, we don't see anything in the applications for a festival on the town green, which would be great sometime in August. Or sometime in January, a winter festival. So we as a council want to do that. Who here thinks we should do that type of programming? So everybody agrees that the council wants to do its own programming, of which you can take 20% of your FY24 allocation. And this is where that's going to come in. So you're going to say, yes, that sounds great. We're going to do a council program. Okay, can't exceed 20% of your funds. So let's say we're going to do $100 for this council program. What's it called? Fun in winter. And you see the red asterisks, so you're going to have to fill that out. You don't have to know exactly what it's going to be called at this particular point. You can always change that, but we just sort of want to get an idea. Winter activities. Okay, and then a program date. We just want a rough idea about the program date. We aren't going to hold you to that date, but it's just sort of like puts it in the book so that people, know that that's sort of like when you're thinking about it. Again, you're going to have to hit save draft. Save draft is like the equal sign on a calculator. It's just going to wrap everything up and have it move whatever things need to be moved to the next tab, like calculations and stuff. It'll move that over. So now we're going to go over to decisions. So decisions is the place where you have to tell the system that you did your notification denials, then that you waited your 15 days. So all right, so we just sent them out. So let's say we waited until the 9th. Oh no, so this is the date of your denial letter. So let's say, please enter the date of your denials were sent through. So like we sent them through, what's today, October 19th? We sent them through October 19th. Did you observe? Yes, we did. We observed it. So we actually might have to back this out. Let me just put first, so it doesn't tell me I'm wrong. September 20th. Okay. And now you're saying and so it says, yes, I observed that. They're going to need to know that, or else it's not going to let you move forward. This space right here where it says total of applications pending approval, this is going to be the amount of money that you have approved in grants that are right now sitting in that little bucket of pending approval. So it could be, obviously it's going to be more than $50. This is just a test, but so this could be $5,500 that you have in pending approval. And then it's also pulling in from the tab of council programs how much you decided you wanted to do for your council program. So it's pulling in that $100. So your allocation and the amount that you have for granting includes your council program. So just so you know that. So if you have 6,500 amount available for granting, that is going to include your council program. So when you get here, it says, okay, so you have a council programs, you have applicant pending approval, council programs. So that's $150 that you're granting. That's the total amount you granted are those two things, your pending approval of your applicants and your council program. So that's the total amount that you're granting. Then you're going to come down here and it's going to ask you, it's going to say to you, this is the amount you have available for granting. Now this amount is pulling from your financial report, from the other thing that you did when you filled out calculate amount available for granting. So this is the amount that it's going to pull in. The one thing that you need to do before you get that true number is hit save draft. Okay, so you've got to hit save draft. So that's a lot of money you have for granting. So this amount of money, and this is it's not going to obviously let us submit because it's off. The total amount granted and the total amount available for granting have got to match. So if you have $6,400 in pending approvals for applications and you have $100 for your council program, and that equals up to $6,500 total amount for granting, the amount that you have available for granting has to be $6,500. Okay, so these two things have to match up. So you're going to hit save draft. Those things are going to match up and you're going to be like, okay, great. And then you're going to submit to MCC. That is when your annual report is finished. Now, you cannot send out approvals before you go through this process. It won't let you. The system will not let you. Don't send out approvals, by email on your own the minute you finished your grant meeting. Because what the system does is it makes sure it's sort of a fail safe and it makes sure that you're not over granting or under granting. So you want to make sure that that's not happening. Okay. So that's basically going through your voting meetings, you're separating your submissions to denials or approvals, coming to the grant, filling out the grant decisions, and then submitting it to Mass Cultural Council. So that is basically the way that you're going to get through your grant decisions process. Again, it's really important that you have your voting meeting, you choose which applications you're going to deny, you do that first, you go into the system, it goes pending decline, and then decline. Make sure you decline all of those so the 15-day period happens. We get the request for reconsideration if anyone is asking for that, and we let you know whether or not you need to vote again as a council on that application if that reconsideration is approved. And then you're going to submit your annual report once that 15 days is up. So we have a bunch of stuff in the toolkit for you. We have, if you are a reimbursement council, we have an approval letter, the reimbursement form that the applicant needs to fill out or the grantee needs to fill out, and then their publicity and their credit requirements. And then if you are a direct grant council, we do have the approval letter, the grant agreement form, which needs to go out with the approval letter, their credit and publicity requirements, and final reports. If you are a direct grant council, your approved grantees will need to fill out a final report once they have finished their program. And